My dad physically attacked me when I wouldn't give my brother my house. So I called the police and had him arrested in front of everyone. If you believe in stories that matter, subscribe and support us. And please, leave a comment with your city or country. We enjoy learning about our viewers. I was stirring my grandmother's gumbo recipe when my doorbell rang 3 times. Sharp, demanding. Through the peephole I saw my father Gregory, my brother Deshawn, and my Aunt Paulette crowding my porch like debt collectors. My stomach dropped. They never visited together unless something was wrong. Kira, open up. We need to talk. Dad's voice boomed through the door. I'd bought this 3-bedroom house in Oak Park 6 months ago at 28, after years of 80-hour work weeks as a medical software consultant. Every payment, every piece of furniture, every damn nail. Mine. The mortgage was $2,400 monthly, but I'd earned it. I opened the door. What's going on? They pushed past me into my living room. Deshawn, 25, wearing a designer hoodie I knew he couldn't afford, wouldn't meet my eyes. Dad's jaw was set in that way that meant he'd already made a decision. Aunt Paulette stood behind them, arms crossed. We need to discuss your brother's situation, Dad started, settling onto my cream sofa like he owned it. What situation? I asked, though dread was already pooling in my gut. Deshawn finally spoke. Kiki, I'm in some trouble. Got behind on rent and Shanice is pregnant. We got evicted last week. My childhood nickname felt manipulative coming from his mouth now. I'm sorry to hear that, but... Which is why, Dad interrupted, you're going to let Deshawn and Shanice move in here. You got 3 bedrooms. You're single. They need stability for the baby. The room tilted slightly. Excuse me. You heard your father, Aunt Paulette chimed in, her voice dripping with that sanctimonious tone she reserved for family guilt trips. Family helps family, Kira. Or did all that money make you forget where you came from? I felt my blood pressure rising. I didn't forget anything. I worked 3 jobs through college while Deshawn dropped out sophomore year. Here we go. Deshawn exploded, finally looking at me. Always throwing that in my face. Not everybody's perfect like you, Kira. I never said I was perfect, I countered, keeping my voice level. But I made sacrifices. This house represents. It represents you being selfish, Dad cut in, standing up. At 6'3", he'd always used his size to intimidate. Your brother needs help. You have space. End of discussion. My mouth went dry. Dad, this is my house. I have plans for those rooms. A home office, a space for... plans. Aunt Paulette scoffed. Your brother's about to be a father sleeping in his car and you're worried about a home office? What would your mama think? The mention of my mother, dead 5 years from breast cancer, hit like a slap. She'd have wanted me to help, but she'd also taught me to stand up for myself. These were 2 different things. Mama would understand that I can't just... Your mama would be ashamed, Dad said flatly. Deshawn moves in this weekend. We'll help him pack. No. The word came out stronger than I expected. This is not happening. The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. Dad's face darkened. What did you just say to me? I said no, I repeated, my heart hammering. Deshawn's situation is unfortunate, but giving up my space isn't the solution. He needs to figure out. Figure out what? Deshawn jumped up, getting in my face. How to be a heartless bitch like you. I'm your baby brother, Kiki. Shanice is 8 months pregnant. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you spent your rent money on those $300 sneakers. I shot back, pointing at his feet. His face flushed. You don't know what you're talking about. I know you've been in between jobs for 6 months. I know Mama left us both $15,000 and yours was gone in 3 months on God knows what. I know I've loaned you money 4 times this year that I never got back. That's different, Aunt Paulette interjected. That was loans. This is family obligation. You have the space, you have the means. It's your duty. Pie duty. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Where was this energy when I was working overnight shifts and sending money home for Dad's truck payment? Where was family obligation when I needed help with Mama's funeral costs? Don't you dare, Dad's voice went dangerously quiet. I raised you. Put a roof over your head for 18 years. You owe me. I owe you. The words tasted like poison. For doing the bare minimum a parent should do? Dad stepped closer, towering over me. You've got 1 week to get that spare room ready. After they left, I sat in my living room shaking. I called my best friend Imani, barely holding back tears. Girl, they cannot be serious, Imani said after I explained. That's your house. Your name on the deed. They acted like I'm the villain for not immediately agreeing. Because they're used to you being the family ATM, Imani said bluntly. When's the last time any of them helped you with anything? I couldn't remember. That realization hurt worse than the confrontation. The next morning, I drove to my cousin Brittany's house across town. Brittany and I had been close growing up, but she distanced herself from the family drama years ago. I heard, she said, pouring coffee. Aunt Paulette called my mom last night, rallying the troops. Said you're acting bougie and forgot your roots. Rallying the troops? My stomach sank. Full family meeting Sunday at Dad's. They're planning an intervention to talk sense into you. I set down my cup. Brittany, what am I missing here? Why is everyone acting like I'm the problem? She sighed, looking uncomfortable. Kira, there's something you should know. Deshaun didn't just get evicted. He owes his landlord $8,000 in back rent and damages. And Shanice? Her family kicked her out because Deshaun stole from them, pawned her grandmother's wedding ring for drug money. The room spun. What? He's been using for about a year. Nothing hard, mostly pills and weed, but enough that he can't keep a job. Why didn't anyone tell me? My voice cracked. Brittany looked guilty. Uncle Gregory made everyone promise not to. Said Deshaun was handling it, getting clean. But Kira, if you let him move in, you're not helping him. You're enabling him. And they know it, they're just desperate. I drove home in a fog. My phone buzzed constantly, texts from relatives I barely knew, all saying variations of the same thing. Family helps family, don't be selfish, your mama raised you better. At 9 p.m. my doorbell rang. My Uncle Bernard stood there looking uncomfortable. Your daddy asked me to come talk to you, he said. Let me guess. To convince me to let Deshaun move in. Kira, I know this seems unfair, but your brother's in real trouble. Shanice's family is threatening to press charges over that ring. If Deshaun doesn't have a stable address, the courts might not look kindly on him. He could lose custody rights before the baby's even born. So the solution is to make his mess my problem? I asked. Uncle Bernard, did anyone consider that maybe Deshaun needs actual help, not just a free place to crash while he gets his act together on my dime? He shifted uncomfortably. Your daddy says you either help willingly, or he'll make you understand family loyalty. The threat hung in the air like smoke. Is that a threat? I'm just the messenger, baby girl. After he left, I locked every door and window in my house. Sunday came too fast. I considered not going, but I knew that would make things worse. I pulled up to Dad's house at noon, my hands clammy on the steering wheel. Inside, 15 family members packed the living room. Everyone turned to stare at me like I'd crashed a funeral. Glad you could make it, Dad said coldly. I sat in the only empty chair, centered in the room like an accused criminal at trial. Aunt Paulette started. Kira, we're all here because we love you and want you to make the right choice. This isn't an intervention for me, I said quietly. I'm not the one with the problem. The problem, my Uncle Jerome spoke up, is that you've forgotten what community means. We're black folks, Kira. We take care of our own. That's how we survived. And I haven't taken care of this family? I couldn't stay quiet. I sent money when Auntie Lisa needed her transmission fixed. I paid for Cousin Malik's graduation party. I covered Dad's property taxes last year when he was short. Where was this community then? That's different, someone muttered. How? I demanded. How is it different? Deshawn stood up and I noticed how thin he'd gotten. Brittany was right, he was using. Because I'm about to be a father, Kira. Don't you care about your nephew? I care enough to not enable your addiction, I said, and the room went silent. What did you just say? Dad's voice was deadly. Deshawn's using, I stated clearly. Pills, weed, probably more. He pawned Shanice's grandmother's ring. He owes $8,000 in back rent. And you all know it, but you'd rather make me the villain than address the real issue. Deshawn lunged toward me, but Uncle Bernard held him back. You bitch. Who told you that? Brittany. You'll what? I stood up, my fear transforming into anger. Threaten me too? That seems to be the family specialty lately. Kira Michelle Johnson, Dad's voice boomed. You will help your brother, or so help me. Or what, Dad? I faced him. You'll disown me? Cut me off? I've been financially independent since I was 22. I don't need this family's approval anymore. Aunt Paulette gasped. How dare you? How dare I? I laughed bitterly. How dare all of you? You want to guilt me into sacrificing my peace, my safety, my home for someone who won't even help himself? Deshawn needs rehab, not a free apartment. He's not an addict. Dad shouted. Then prove it, I challenged. Make him take a drug test right now. If he's clean, I'll apologize and we can discuss options. Real options like helping him get treatment. Deshawn's face went pale. I don't have to prove nothing to her. The silence was deafening. That's what I thought, I said, grabbing my purse. I was halfway to the door when Dad grabbed my arm, his fingers digging into my flesh hard enough to bruise. You're not leaving until this is settled, he growled. Let go of me, I said firmly, trying to pull away. His grip tightened. You think you're better than us now? Think your little house and your fancy job make you special? Dad, you're hurting me. Let go. Instead, he yanked me backward. I stumbled, catching myself on the coffee table. The room erupted, some relatives gasping, others moving toward us. Gregory, that's enough. Uncle Bernard tried to intervene. But Dad wasn't done. 28 years of being the good daughter, the reliable one, the family bank. It all shattered in his eyes. He saw only defiance. You'll give Deshawn those keys, he said, reaching into my purse, trying to grab my house keys. I held on and he shoved me hard. I went backward over the coffee table, hitting the floor with a crack that knocked the wind from my lungs. Pain exploded in my shoulder and hip. Oh my God! Someone screamed. Through blurred vision, I saw Dad standing over me, my keys in his hand, breathing hard. Aunt Paulette had her hand over her mouth. Deshawn looked shocked. Uncle Bernard was pulling out his phone. Gregory, what did you do? Uncle Bernard's voice sounded far away. I tasted blood from where I'd bitten my tongue. I pushed myself up slowly, my whole body screaming. My left wrist throbbed, possibly sprained. The room spun, but my mind had never been clearer. Give me my keys, I said, my voice unnaturally calm. Not until you agree. Give me my keys or I'm calling the police. Dad laughed. You wouldn't dare. I'm your father. I pulled out my phone with my good hand. My fingers shook as I dialed 911. Kira, hang up that phone. Aunt Paulette shrieked. What's your emergency? The operator's voice came through the speaker. My father just physically attacked me and stole my property. I need police at 4756 Westwood Drive. The room exploded into chaos. Dad's face went purple. You called the cops on me? Your own father. You assaulted me, I said, still on the line with dispatch. You shoved me over furniture and took my keys by force. Ma'am, are you injured? The operator asked. Yes. My wrist and shoulder. I'm bleeding from my mouth. Officers are 3 minutes away. Stay on the line. Are you in immediate danger? Dad moved toward me again and Uncle Bernard stepped between us. Gregory, stop. You've done enough. She's calling the police on me. Dad roared. After everything I've done for her. This is how she repays me. By not letting you steal my house keys after you assaulted me? I asked. Yeah, Dad. This is exactly how I repay that. Deshaun finally found his voice. Kiki, come on. Don't do this. He didn't mean. Don't. I cut him off. Don't you dare defend him. The sirens arrived exactly 4 minutes after I called. 2 officers, a black woman and a white man, came to the door. Uncle Bernard let them in. Who called? The female officer asked. I did. I stood up, wincing. My father attacked me and stole my property. Officer Williams, her nameplate read, took in the scene. Me with blood on my chin and cradling my wrist, Dad red-faced and furious, 15 witnesses in varying states of shock. That's my daughter, Dad said quickly. This is a family disagreement. She's being dramatic. Sir, did you put your hands on this woman? Officer Rodriguez asked. I barely touched her. She's exaggerating because she won't help her brother. He shoved me over that coffee table, I said clearly. I hit the floor, injured my wrist and shoulder. Then he took my house keys from my purse without permission. Uncle Bernard, you saw everything. All eyes turned to Uncle Bernard. His jaw worked, loyalty warring with truth. Bernard, Dad's voice held a warning. Uncle Bernard looked at me, really looked at me, at my swelling wrist, the blood, the bruise forming on my cheek from hitting the floor. Gregory pushed her, he said finally. She fell over the table. He took her keys. I saw it all. You're lying. Dad shouted. Sir, I need you to calm down, Officer Williams said firmly. Ma'am, do you want to press charges? Every eye in the room burned into me. Aunt Paulette was crying. Deshaun looked panicked. My cousins stood frozen. Yes, I said. I want to press charges. Officer Rodriguez moved toward Dad with handcuffs. Sir, you're under arrest for assault and theft. This is ridiculous. Dad backed away. She's my daughter. You can't arrest me for disciplining. She's 28 years old, Officer Williams said. Turn around, hands behind your back. The click of handcuffs echoed through the silent room. Dad's face contorted with rage and disbelief. Kira, tell them this is a mistake. Tell them. I stayed silent, filming everything on my phone with my good hand. You'll regret this, Dad hissed as they let him out. You hear me? You'll regret this. Anyone else witnesses this assault? Officer Williams asked the room. Slowly, 3 people raised their hands. Uncle Bernard, Brittany, and surprisingly my cousin Tasha. We'll need statements, Officer Rodriguez said. After the police left with Dad in custody, the house erupted. Aunt Paulette pointed a shaking finger at me. You just destroyed this family. Your own father. He destroyed it when he put his hands on me, I said. Over what? A house. Material things. He was screaming now. You chose a building over your father. I chose my safety over his entitlement, I corrected. There's a difference. Deshaun stepped forward and I noticed his hands were shaking. Withdrawal, probably. Kiki, drop the charges. Please. He'll lose his job at the plant if he has a record. Should have thought about that before he assaulted me. He's your father. Deshaun's voice cracked. And I'm his daughter. I pressed charges. Dad spent the night in jail. By Monday morning, my phone had 147 missed calls and texts calling me everything from ungrateful to words I won't repeat. I changed my locks that afternoon. Cost $450 worth every penny. I also got a security system installed. Cameras on every entrance, motion sensors, the works. $2,800 total. My safety had a price and I paid it gladly. The preliminary hearing was 3 weeks later. Dad showed up in a suit looking smaller somehow. His lawyer argued it was a family dispute blown out of proportion. But Uncle Bernard testified. So did Brittany. And shockingly, so did Aunt Paulette's neighbor who'd been in the kitchen and saw everything. The judge was a black woman in her 60s named Judge Henderson. She looked at my medical reports. Sprained wrist, bruised ribs, minor concussion. Mr. Johnson, she said, you're 56 years old. Your daughter is 28. You outweigh her by at least 80 pounds. You shoved her over furniture because she wouldn't give up her home to your son. What do you have to say for yourself? Dad's lawyer started to speak, but Judge Henderson held up her hand. I asked Mr. Johnson. Dad stood. She was being disrespectful. Selfish. I raised her better than that. You raised her to believe she doesn't deserve boundaries? Judge Henderson's eyebrow arched. To accept violence when she disagrees with you? Silence. Assault in the 3rd degree. Guilty on both counts. Suspended sentence, 2 years probation, mandatory anger management and a restraining order. You'll stay 500 feet from your daughter at all times. Dad's face went gray. Your Honor. I could have sent you to jail, Mr. Johnson. 6 months later, I'm sitting on my back porch drinking coffee in my house. My 3-bedroom, mortgage paid on time, absolutely no freeloaders house. The restraining order holds. Dad's in anger management. Deshaun finally went to rehab after Shanice gave birth and her family got custody of the baby until he proves he's clean. The family still doesn't speak to me. Except Brittany, Uncle Bernard and surprisingly Cousin Tasha who called last week to apologize. I saw what they were doing to you, she said. Making you responsible for everyone. I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner. Imani visited yesterday bringing wine and wisdom. How do you feel? Lighter, I said honestly. Sad but lighter. Is that weird? Not even a little. He squeezed my hand. You chose yourself. That's not selfish, that's survival. My therapist says trauma bonding is real, that families can be toxic, that the word, no, is a complete sentence. I'm learning that the hard way. Last week I got a text from an unknown number. I'm proud of you, baby girl. Uncle Bernard. Today I'm converting that spare bedroom into a home office. The other spare bedroom? A library with floor-to-ceiling shelves and a reading nook. My house. My rules. My peace. Sometimes I think about Dad, wonder if he understands what he lost. Then I remember his hands on me, the rage in his eyes, and I know I didn't lose a father that day. I found myself. And that house they wanted to take. It's not just walls and a mortgage. It's my freedom. My boundary. My proof that I'm worth protecting. Even from family. Especially from family.